Cave diving, an enchanting yet perilous adventure. Amidst the mesmerizing underwater beauty lies a world of danger, a delicate dance with limited oxygen. You may wonder, can that cause a life? Well, that's what went down in Kalimba Cave. 4 adventurers went in, craving beauty, but only 2 emerged, carrying an unforgettable burden, leaving their 2 friends behind forever. Cave divers lost deep underground, the Kalimba Cave tragedy. Cave diving is an exhilarating yet perilous underwater adventure, distinct from regular scuba diving due to the unique challenge it presents. Special training and gear are essential, and strict safety rules must be followed because in the dark and intricate caves, the risk of getting lost is ever present. Apart from all these problems, one thing that can change everything is the fate. If you don't believe it, then the ill-fated dive in the Kalimba Cave involved a group of 4 experienced divers, each bringing a wealth of expertise to the expedition. Leading the team were the husband and wife duo, Gene and Bill Downing, seasoned cave divers with over 300 dives and nearly 30 years of certification. Alongside them were their close friends, Kent Hirsch, boasting 125 dives, and Michael Nast, with 75 dives under his belt. This tight-knit group had honed their diving skills together for years and ventured to Mexico to explore the extensive Saskatoon system in the snow day of the Kalimba Cave. Grouped due to similar gas consumption rates, they embarked on the expedition with a thorough plan, matching experience and an understanding of the risks inherent in cave diving. The planned cave route in the Kalimba Cave was a bit complex, and the plan was like this. Beginning with the Columbia Main Line, divers will embark on a perilous journey, navigating short connecting jump lines, then progressing through the main Paso Delicato line, and finally to the main Boss Gen line. These interconnected passages demanded meticulous navigation through tight restrictions, forcing divers to maneuver with deliberate precision, each turn and jump adding to the mounting challenge. The dive's organization was meticulous. Team 1, under the guidance of a professional, strategically placed markers known as cookies along the route. However, in this submerged world of uncertainty, these markers serve not only as a guide, but also as a communication system between Team 1 and Team 2, a lifeline in the submerged darkness. Team 2, consisting of Gene, Bill, Hirsch, and Nast, followed the replicated route of Team 1, fully aware of the anticipated turnaround point based on projected air consumption. The tension was palpable as each member carried meticulously filled tanks, knowing their journey's success hinged on these pressurized containers. The protocol of consuming only 1/3 of the tank's air on the way in left little room for error, with another third designated for the return journey and the final third reserved for the unforeseen emergencies that lurked in the cavern's shadows. As the dive began, Team 1 descended into the watery darkness, placing cookies to guide Team 2 along their planned route. The journey unfolded as expected until Team 1 reached the Boss Gen line, where they discovered that Team 2 had already passed, adhering to the protocol of removing markers. Upon resurfacing after 99 minutes, what felt like an eternity, there was an eerie absence. No Team 2 in sight. Panic set in, a frantic search began, extending even to a desperate drive to another potential exit point, Grants annotated. Yet silence greeted them, no trace of the 4 divers. With each passing minute, the knot of anxiety tightened. 30 agonizing minutes later, the realization struck. Team 2 might be running out of air. Then, like a suspenseful twist, bubbles broke the surface and 2 figures emerged. The tension reached its peak as Team 2 defied the odds and surfaced, bringing a mix of relief and lingering questions about the harrowing moments deep below. What happened? The journey for Team 2 had begun smoothly as they marveled at the cave's serene beauty, capturing the moment with underwater photography. Negotiating tight restrictions with ease, they reached the end of the Columbia line, jumped to the Paso Delicato, and finally arrived at the Boss Gen line. Michael, diligently monitoring air pressure, signaled the need to turn back, initiating the removal of the Boss Gen cookie. However, a navigation error unfolded inexplicably. Instead of making the planned right turn at the main Paso line, all 4 divers veered left. Unaware of their deviation, they swam an astonishing 1,400 feet, far beyond the expected distance, realizing their grave mistake only when their intended exit seemed unreachable. Separated from their intended exit by nearly 3,000 feet, the divers found themselves at the end of the Paso main line. Aware of the long jump to the Kalimba Cenote main line, Ken connected his safety line and embarked on a desperate search. With a 70-foot gap to traverse, he placed his trust in the hope that the passage would reveal itself. Swimming for several minutes, his safety line abruptly halted, falling short of the required distance. Realizing the urgency as time dwindled, Ken faced a critical decision. Glancing at his pressure gauge, he understood the need for swift action. Returning to the Paso main line, he could barely discern the distant lights of his companions swimming away. They had left him stranded. Feeling a sense of frantic urgency, he swam after them until catching up with the group. Meanwhile, Michael had made a pivotal decision. Observing the declining air levels and making a quick calculation, he recognized the necessity of an immediate retreat. The underwater tunnels, while captivating, offered no pockets of air, leaving them entirely dependent on their tanks. Michael's departure, unseen by Ken for several minutes, prompted the group to backtrack, following Michael back towards the known path. After a tense 25 minutes of swimming, they successfully found the jump, returning to the main Kalimba line heading toward the open air. With only 200 psi left in his air tank, Bill sensed the diminishing air with each breath. In a desperate move, he and Jean began sharing air using the emergency extra mouthpiece attached to her tanks. Navigating through tight restrictions, Bill had to wait as Jean squeezed through, holding his breath and working through the restriction himself. The lifeline of air quickly located, they moved carefully together, slowing their exertion as they were still 15 minutes from the exit. Meanwhile, Michael, ahead of them, had slowed to a near stop. In desperation, Michael sought help upon realizing his dwindling air supply. But seeing Bill and Jean already sharing their gas, he left feeling hopeless. As the light from Kent emerged in the tunnel, gave hope. Kent, a loyal friend, gave Michael his emergency mouthpiece and tried to calm him to preserve the remaining air. Despite having the least cave diving experience, Michael and Kent pressed on down the Kalimba line, hoping their air would stretch the last 1,000 feet of swimming. When Jean and Bill finally surfaced, they had less than 500 psi in Jean's tank, which would have been depleted in just a few more minutes. Had they waited for Ken at the end of Paso Delgado, they might have run out of air just feet from the exit. They informed the guide and others about seeing lights from Kent and Michael behind them, believing they weren't too far away. The guide and a few divers entered the tunnel, hopeful to provide their own extra mouthpieces if needed. Just 250 feet inside, they spotted lights in the tunnel, but the heartbreaking realization struck. Both men had drowned just 5 minutes from the exit. Without willing, they lost their lives doing what they loved.